You're listening to the New World to Go podcast with your hosts, Redbyrd and BDLG.
Hello and welcome to another episode of New World to Go. I am your host, Redbyrd, and with me is BDLG and Danny. Not really a guest anymore, I guess, Danny. You're kind of like another person on the show now at this point, right?
Part of the crew, man. Part of the team.
Yeah, you're part of the team. You're not a guest. You're a staple. That's what it is. But yeah, guys, we're good to be with you. We have a ton to talk about today. We are going to talk about, obviously, the Winter Convergence Festival. It is now live. I think a lot of us have had a chance to play it, to experience it. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Server mergers, and then, of course, the New World December team update. Bordy has a nice little summary over at New World Fans. You can check that out, follow along with us. But we're going to talk all about that today. All the new things that are in store for us as we kind of follow New World into the next coming year. But first, don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and review. Bordy, we got another one. A kind person by the name of Josh123799643. I don't know. Those aren't the numbers that was behind his name. We'll say Josh.
1276898. Yeah, Josh. Yeah. He left us a 5-star, which is dope, and he just says good stuff. That's what he said.
Good stuff.
Awesome. We appreciate that, Josh.
The perfect rating, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the review, man. Thank you for the rating.
Thank you. And now they're doing it on Spotify, so yet another place to leave 5 stars. We appreciate you guys so much. It helps us get found in the podcast directory. And if you're watching YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscription button, the notification bell for more New World content like this. So we have a big video that we've been working on for a long time coming this week, hopefully tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. I think you guys will enjoy it. But without further ado, let's hop right into the news. All right, so the Winter Convergence Festival is upon us. Guys, I don't know what level are you. What level are you guys right now in the reputation grind?
I'm level 3, pushing level 4. I've got to go do the next quest. It's part of the Winter Warrior quest, the level 60 part to collect runestone fragments from the Yeti in Eden Grove. So I've got to go kill that thing. And from what I understand, he's a pretty hard boss. I think he's level 60 something elite. I think, and then after that, I think I got to go to Shattered Mountain. So I'm pushing through there, man. I'm getting there.
Danny, you level 5?
No, not yet. Not yet. I really want to get to level 5, but they've added all these new quests in the game as well, and I'm like darting between everything. So yeah, I'm level 3. But yeah, the one thing that really excites me so far is the meteorites, the Gleamite. Oh man, it's super cool. Like really awesome. But yeah, still a level 3, but I'm working my way up to them patterns because they're actually a couple of guys in the company have managed to get there, and the weapons look pretty cool. So I'm working my way up. I'm nearly there.
Yes, it's interesting because, like you had mentioned, they've added new quests to the game. They obviously did the expertise, system that kind of took the place of the high watermark system. I know a lot of people are grinding gypsum and everything, but some of the festival stuff, you'd have to be a pretty high level to complete it. The quest you mentioned, the level 60 mob. I'm pretty sure that would be pretty difficult to pull up like a level 20 or 30 up into Eden Grove and expect them to live through that. Which is a concern of some people. Obviously, a lot of this was in-game, material to add in there. But what do you guys overall take on the expertise system? I think this is a big change. I think a lot of people asked for, and now that we've kind of seen it in motion, your basically dailies at this point. You're doing like a 2 outpost rush a day. You're collecting 3 trees a day. You're doing your chest run so you can get I think 3 obsidian gypsum that you need to craft the gypsum. You got the dungeon run, the arena run. What do you guys think about the gypsum system now that it's active and in place, helping people to get their high water mark up?
That's an interesting one. Danny, I'm going to let you take this one first, man, and I'm going to ride your coattails on it.
Just did that.
Okay, so just very quickly, I love the theming of the towns. Like, that's one thing that's come in this patch that is just super cool. I love it. It's fantastic. The expertise, I love that you can now see it. So first thoughts, I love it. I love that it's there. I love that you can see it. I've been chatting to you guys and everyone really. On the flip side, now that I see it, I have this drive and determination to get to max. That combined with these kind of daily activities, I lived and breathed New World anyway, but now it's even more so. So I think on one side of the coin, I love it. I think it's, you got a bit more clarity on your levels, on your expertise, and what you need to be focusing on. And then on the flip side, the way you get the expertise with this daily system and the way it's currently implemented doesn't really sit well with me. I'd love to see the dailies if they're going to be in the game, which I don't know if I like them. If they're going to be in the game, then I'd love to see them finish at midnight. So I can choose when to play with my friends, or I can choose what time to do it. If I have family in the evening and I can't I can't game, but I got an hour before work, I could do an outpost rush run, and I could still carry on with that progression. But in general, I think it's a good addition to the game, but it just needs some tweaking.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think, they've mentioned that change potentially coming in the future, and I think it's an important one, a global cooldown for all events inside of the game. Because, we obviously, or a lot of people do work during the week, so maybe the time that they can complete their dailies or whatever during the week is a different time that, now it's the weekend, they get to stay up a little bit later. They're running around trying to get all their dailies done, and then sometimes that does, I found that to be a tad bit frustrating as well. And it started with the daily cooldowns for the mats, right? Every day I go and craft my, Phoenix Weave and Asmodium and all these other things, and then if I on the weekend I stay up, play with, hang out with my family, do a lot of things during the day, and then I get on at night to do things with the company, and before you know it, it's 1 a.m. I haven't done my cooldown match yet, so then I do them, and then I can't do them the next day, basically, because if I'm not going to stay up till 1 every night. I just want to stay up to 1 on one night, and so then it's the same thing is happening with the gypsum. I think is I have done a certain activity and then forgot to create the mold. And then I create the mold, and then that puts me on a 23-hour cooldown, and then I can't do the activity when I want to do it because I can't create the mold. I guess it's more of a min-max problem, but still, I would love to see some sort of global cooldown system in New World. Maybe everything resets at 2 a.m. And then if someone can stay up till 2 a.m. and do do a dungeon, and then at 2:30 a.m. do another dungeon and get 2 gypsum right back to back, then I think so be it, right? But I think it would just make it more friendly for the casual players, which are the people that I think New World is most interested in retaining at this point. Bordy, what is your take on the current implementation of the gypsum system?
So overall, I think it's a step in the right direction, right? I enjoy the system to an extent, but I echo the sentiment that you guys have 100%. So I think what's happened here is that, we all know the majority of the players that play MMOs are casual players, right? And I think the gypsum system does lend itself to casual players to some extent, because now you can get on, you can target your gypsum. If all you want to do is get on, play a couple outpost rushes, you can progress your gear score and you can move on. But what I've found myself doing is the same thing you guys have found yourself doing, is that now I feel pressured to get on every day and do these activities to try to get my gypsum up, because I feel like I'm going to fall behind if I don't, right? I feel like I'm just going to get so far behind because everyone else is getting their gypsum every day. It goes on this cooldown. Now I feel like I have to get on and do all these dailies a day, plus all of my gypsum dailies. Not on top of my gypsum dailies, I have to do my daily cooldowns, which I don't ever get around to doing. And then I feel real bad because I'm like, man, I just left all this money on the table because I spent all my time in game doing my gypsum to get my gear score up, but now I can't do my dailies because I missed them. It's or my cooldowns. So I don't know. There's too many dailies in the game. Then on top of that, you also have your tuning orbs that you have to do too if you're trying to run dungeons, which you can't forget to do those either, which it's just I don't know, man. It almost turns into more of a job than a than a video game. But overall, I do like it. I have enjoyed the system. I have enjoyed grinding out the gypsum. It's just that overwhelming feeling of like of FOMO, which may be what they want, right? Because that's going to keep
I think
players
that's
logging
maybe a
in.
positive thing for the game, but
right. It's a positive thing for the game, but the effect that it has on a player, man, it's almost it's I don't know, man. I just kind of want to get on the game sometimes and just kind of hang out and chill and maybe go do a little crafting maybe some days, you know what I mean? And sometimes I don't feel like I can get on and like progress my trade skills because I'm too busy doing my other cooldowns for gypsum and whatever. So it gets almost a little bit on the overwhelming side sometimes. But overall, I do think it's a step in the right direction. I do enjoy getting on and feeling like I'm progressing. I really like that the expertise shows now. The only thing I would like to see is maybe a summary page of my expertise, so I don't have to feel like I have to carry around all my weapons with me all the time to know if I'm 590 on a weapon or not, or still keep up with that externally, because I think some people are still keeping up with that externally on a spreadsheet, which kind of sucks whenever the system's in the game already. You know, I wish there was some sort of summary sheet for that. That would be dope. But yeah, I mean, overall, I like it. It's a step in the right direction. I just, man, the dailies are starting to kill me though, man. They're starting to be a little bit much with all the things that you almost feel like you need to get done every day.
Yeah.
So I hope in the future that kind of gets toned down somehow.
Yeah, and well, I think one of the things, is kind of obviously, like you mentioned, it's a step in the right direction. We're getting more stuff to do as we log in. You can eventually, I guess you can progress yourself out of the gypsum system, right? You can if you get everything to 590 or the things that you care about to 590, you no longer have to do a gypsum grind. That is technically there for people that need to get their watermark up. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit more about this later. They have always the potential of leveling or increasing the gear score cap, and then you would probably, I assume, have to start the gypsum grind over again. Maybe we don't know how that's going to work yet, but overall, you mentioned doing trade skills. The trade skill aptitude is another positive thing, I think, that was added to the game. It feels more rewarding to craft again now that you're level 200, and you can, you can get these boxes that potentially have even more powerful things that can help you craft even, better gear and stuff. Have you guys had a chance to do any or level any of the trade aptitudes and get a few purple boxes? See what's inside of those.
Yeah, I have. Oh, sorry, Danny. Go ahead, man.
That's all right. No. I was just going to say I'm a terrible crafter. I'm a terrible gatherer as well. But I've managed to do a few. But like you was going to say, but when you do it, and you see it go past that 200, it's like, oh yeah, this is good. And for the gathering as well, you get rewarded for nearly everything at the moment. So I think that's fantastic. Sorry, somebody.
Yeah, no, you're good. I do enjoy the trade skill aptitude system. I think it is really, really nice. I'm not much of a gatherer or crafter either. I do them because I do eventually want to have everything maxed. But it is nice to just have that option. And it is nice to have a sense of progression after 200 as well. I know some people already have their aptitude way on up there, and it feels a little bit bad that I'll never be able to compete with that. But at the same time, like I can still craft everything in the game. You know what I mean? I can still do everything in the game that I need to do. I still have access to all my daily cooldowns now that I'm 200 on all of my refining, which feels real nice. And then it feels good to be able to get gypsum. So I go out and whatever I have closest, I usually try to do logging, get my gypsum every day, and that's a pretty nice, easy way to go grab some gypsum, man. So I think overall that system is definitely a positive addition to the game.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that it's done is brought down the economy. The effects of all these changes all happened at once. It's kind of hard to I guess, pin, one thing or the next thing as being, as influential as the other. But this trade skill aptitude and the new recipes that allow you to turn the tier 5 mats into the, your daily cooldown mats, I think is pretty significant for potentially your casual players. Because now all the cooldowns for the mats that you use to craft high-level gear are getting cheaper and cheaper because obviously they're accessible in the trade aptitude chests. Now you can craft them with, everybody had. I had like 10,000 Ironhide laying around that I'm never going to use. And, everybody had a bunch of Orichalcum because they're forming, they're trying to farm for Tulvium and Cinnabar. And those mats are now, I think, more valuable and more useful. But they in turn have decreased the price of the cooldown mats. So I think overall, I think this is these changes or this patch has been a big step in the right direction for New World. I think we would all agree on that. Anything else that I'm kind of missing out on that happened in the Winter Convergence? We're getting free stuff. Don't forget to log in and claim your free outfits for Winter Convergence. I think that's pretty cool that they're doing like this. I don't know, 10 days of giveaway or whatever the heck it is. Basically, just giving you free appearance items for logging in every day. I do like that sort of thing. As long as it's not tied to like you have to log in 23 days out of 30 days or something like that. I think it's cool to like log in and get a piece of gear. What do you guys think about the new, like, I guess it's not new, but the login rewards for the store? Yeah,
I
Bordy.
think those are good.
There we go.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I think those are good, man. I don't mind those too much as long as they give you multiple days to get the reward. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
if you get in there and it's like one day, you have one day to go in there and grab a reward. That feels real bad if you can't log on that day for whatever reason, and then you miss out on some cool reward. But as long as there's like a time frame or a window there to get some rewards like that, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's pretty dope. Everybody likes free stuff just from logging in. I think it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's good. I spoke to a couple people, and the one thing that did shine through was that there's two coats that are very similar. One you can pay for, and one that you get for free. They are different. You get a hood and you get some boots and all that sort of stuff, and it's different. But you got the paid one come out first, and then the free one come out the day after. And I was like looking at the night before. I was like, I'm gonna buy this new piece of gear, this new cosmetic, and then I didn't. Because I didn't. And then the next day I got one similar. I was like, okay, cool. I think it would have been nice if they come out at the same time. But other than that, it's really cool. The sort of daily rewards is kind of like a little advent calendar. Well, it's not daily, you get it for a couple of days. But, these kind of free gifts, even if they're not, something you'd taking to a territory war because it's it's a little cute snow outfit. You're not a warrior, but it's cool. I think it's a cool feature, and more of this is wicked. Yeah, and I think just in general, the whole Winter Convergence has been good. You look at other MMOs and you see these big like festive holidays celebrating game, and it kind of brings everyone together. I think it's been awesome. I don't know if it's brought many people back to the game. Check it out. I don't know the stats on that, but I think for us, playing, everyone who I spoke to hasn't had a bad word to say about it, and it doesn't seem yet to be too many issues appearing from this patch. So I know there's some. I know there is, but there doesn't seem to be. The trade post isn't offline, and the servers aren't down, and there's no rollbacks, and things seem to be okay. So all in all, it seems to be a really positive thing so far. So yeah, I'm loving it, man. I think it's great.
I think it's also important to give credit where credit's due. This is month 3 of the game, and they have this. It's a pretty spectacular patch. A lot of new content, a lot of improvements to the end game. Obviously, we get our first, seasonal event, which I think we all anticipated would eventually happen in New World. The pace at which they're adding content and improving the game is pretty crazy. We're going to talk a lot about that here in one quick second as we transition to the main topic of this week, which would be the December team update. All right, good job, gentlemen. You're not ruining the drops today. I'm very proud of both of you. So we got a massive video. It's like an hour and 30-minute long video of the dev team sitting down with our boy Greg to talk about everything coming. Some obviously there's some present tense or past tense discussions about how they've handled bugs and patches, and they move on to talking about new stuff. We got a ton of new stuff to cover. So we'll hop right in here. First and foremost, obviously there's introductions. Scott Lane looking just spectacular. One of my favorite human beings to watch, adapt and evolve to the man that he's become. It's crazy. He has Danny length hair, but he did get rid of the beard. So maybe maybe one day we might get like a side by side of Danny and Scott. Danny can dye his hair gray. You can do a cosplay, a Scott Lane cosplay.
Could you imagine?
I think that'd be perfect. I think that would be perfect. But it was good to see everybody. Obviously, that their studio was pretty cool looking, and obviously, this is great content. This is what I think, would love to see from the dev team. Them having setting down, however often they want to do it, maybe quarterly or whatever, to kind of talk about what's in store. I think a lot of people wanted a roadmap, and this is exactly what this was a video roadmap of the future of New World. So first and foremost, the major takeaways we have is the PTR will be utilized more in the future. Now, me and you, Bordy, have talked a lot about this. I know, Danny, you've said a lot about this too, because me and you do a lot of our videos and testing in the PTR. We would love to see them utilize, now that the PTR is a thing, we'd love to see them utilize that for longer periods of time to work out the bugs. This patch obviously was on the PTR way longer than the November patch was, and you spoke to it earlier, Danny. There's been less issues with the patch. So hopefully, as we kind of continue to roll the future New World out, we will see the PTR being utilized more, up for more points of time, and obviously allowing us to preview or see the new systems or features that are coming in the game earlier than we have before as well. So, Danny, what is your obviously opinion or take on the PTR news that we got, which is basically obviously them utilizing it more in the future?
Yeah, it's one of those kind of, I feel like it's a double-edged sword, the PTR. So on one sense, it's brilliant because we all get to go in there, we all get to test it, and if something comes out on the live game that we didn't report about, we got nothing to moan about. We didn't get in there, we didn't help them. Although it's technically not our job, they should do it. We're there to support them, and we can't really moan about it afterwards. We had our opportunity. So I love that that's there. I love that we can get in, we can test things beforehand, and we can, look at everything that we want to see. I guess on the flip side, I kind of try to look at it from a different point of view. If you're a casual player and you don't get a chance really to jump into the PTR, I know a lot of people, including myself, went onto the PTR to look for opportunities for the live game. I went on there and I saw, okay, this is coming out and that's coming out, and I spent a lot of money and I made a lot of money, and maybe I shouldn't admit to that, but I did. I saw an opportunity and I took it. And I think a lot of people who play the game a bit more competitively see it from that sense as well. So it's a fantastic thing, and I think it's good for the longevity of the game and New World. But it kind of has I don't know. I think it's good, and it's nice for us to get in there and test it. And I hope they just leave it open so we can keep finding more issues and keep reporting them as new patches come out, and have it there longer. I don't think there's a big rush for things, and just take the time on the new updates coming out, because there's still so much to do in the game for such a huge part of the population. So take the time on the PTR.
Yeah. So one of the things, obviously, that maybe a little bit of concern is people going to the PTR and not reporting things so they can exploit them in the live client. But I think for the most part, the people in there testing want the game to be good. I don't think we've seen that a lot. Bordy, they did say, and we've had this question a lot, because it is another one, I guess, of the things that we've talked about in the past, which is where do we go to find all of the most, provide feedback? Where do we go to find, all of the information that the devs put out about, what's coming, what's being worked on, what's being fixed? And they let us know that the forums is the primary source of communication. Buddy, what do you think about this? This is pretty interesting to me, is that they've chosen the forums to be the communication line between them and the devs. So, or the devs in the community. So what do you think about that bit of news, that the forums are considered the best place to provide feedback?
I mean, I think it's fine, man. Like, it is the official forums. It's theirs. They own it. They can moderate it, etc. So I think it's fine that that's the official place. They did say that the in-game tools are a great way to provide feedback too, but overall the forums is like the major way. That's where you're going to get noticed the most. And they did say several times that they pass the forum post. If there's an interesting forum post or something that they need to know, they pass that around to the team. And they said they probably pass 20 to 30 forum posts a day around to the team to see what the players are doing and how they're reacting to certain things or what they're wanting. And I thought that was pretty neat too. So yeah, I mean, if you guys want to get heard or want your voice heard, then the forums is the best place to do that, because they acted like they monitor that very heavily. One of the girls who was on there, I think her name was Katie, she was saying she was on there every day, looking at the forums constantly. And it sounds like a lot of them are. So I mean, I think it's fine. I don't. Where else would you provide feedback other than in game? I guess, which they have that option too.
Well, first, God bless her. For spending that much time in the forums. I think it's okay. Obviously, I think the main point, where it was, is significant or not, just that there is one place. I think that's the most important thing, is having one place to kind of see what the latest news is on, a patch that they're working on, or downtime, or, known issues that are occurring with the game. As long as they have one place to kind of communicate and for players to go look at when they need up-to-date news, I think it's fine. The forums is a great choice as long as they stick to that, right? And then we don't have to kind of like, oh, well, this isn't on the forums, but it is on the website. This is on Twitter, but it's not on the forums. It's like, I don't know. There was some of that going on there for quite a while. So hopefully moving forward, they stick with the forums, and that's kind of the way that they communicate. Real quick here, as my dog busts through the door, server mergers are doing great. We didn't talk a little bit about this earlier, but it is a news thing. So server mergers, guys, there's something that a lot of people were requesting. A lot of servers needed. Me and BDLG had to transfer an entire company because the server we're on was dying, or basically dead, I guess, is when we transferred. But so now the server mergers are happening. So I think it's very important for the game. Danny, I know you're on a big server too, but what have you heard so far about the server mergers and the progress going on?
I as of about 3 hours ago from us talking here, I logged in and I was looking at different servers, and if you look down the list, it's just 100. There's a lot of servers that are just sat in this kind of grayed out screen that says server merging in X amount of hours, and there was loads, absolutely loads. So I feel like from their side, they seem to have found the way to do it, and it's in motion, and so many servers are going to get brought together. Like you said, we've been really lucky. We've actually had quite a lot of companies transfer to our server to come and kick our butt, So our server has been really lucky, but I've seen a lot of videos where someone's walking through Windswood and it's just completely quiet, and it's like, oh man, what? Like, so it's one of those things, and I know nothing about how to actually merge a server together, but the fact that they're doing it now, and people have been relatively patient. If it all goes well, we'll probably find out by the time this goes live on YouTube. But if it all goes well, then I think it's a great thing. And as you guys will probably know, and BLG can speak about it maybe, is how it's going from kind of a dead or quietish server to now like this popular. I don't have that experience, but it'd be nice to know from you guys, how that transition's been.
Like night and day, man. It's like night and day. Yeah? So on Taco, the description you described there of running through Windsor and there not being anyone there, we experienced that a few times. There were times where I would get on and I would run through some of the more popular, supposed to be more populated towns, and there would literally there wouldn't be any activity. No one would be there. The market was terrible. Things just weren't good. So server mergers are something that absolutely needed to happen. And I think these people that move, there will be a select few people that are a little sad because they won't be able to gather what they want to gather. There's a little more competition, et cetera. But overall, the experience for just your player that wants to experience the game to its fullest, you need to be on a populated server, because it is just so much better. It is night and day being on a server that doesn't have many people to being on a populated server. So these mergers are really, really necessary, and I'm so glad to see that they're actually happening now, and things are seemingly progressing along smoothly, which is awesome. I haven't heard anything negative so far about server merges, knock on wood. So hopefully that's another thing that goes smooth, as well as this patch has gone fairly smooth. So seems like they're starting to gain some positive traction moving forward with server merges, with a decent patch that has come out. So hopefully this trajectory keeps going forward, and things keep looking up. But yeah, it is definitely night and day, man. It is 100% night and day. What do you think about it, Red? What was your experience on Taka versus on Eden now?
Well, I mean, it's a different game, really.
Yeah,
you expect this out of an MMO, to have players, harassing people in global chat and trying to sell things for twice their value, and it's just that's part of the experience of an MMO. And to me, the transition from Taka to Eden has been 100% positive. And I'm glad that now people that are getting their servers merged together are going to get to experience the game over again in that type of environment. I think that's huge for the health of the game too, because if you want a new player to come in, I think sometimes new players come in and they're like, I should pick a low population server. Because you know what I mean? I don't maybe want to be as hardcore as the high population, but in New World right now, or at least prior to the mergers, if you pick a low population server, the game is almost unplayable. You can't get through some of the quests, the level 25 quests to go do the expedition, Amarine expedition or excavation. You can't do that. So it's like, choosing a low populated server could be extremely detrimental for a new player coming into the game, because then they may get frustrated at level 25, be like, hey, I can't even do the main story quest because no one will help me through Amarine. That is going to be a big problem for retention. A big player, like if you plan on pulling in new players, it was going to be a huge problem. So yeah, I think these are going to be very positive. Hopefully they can continue to perform them well and not have issues or a ton of issues for those players that are having their servers merged. And hopefully overall it just creates some pretty, I would say decently populated to largely populated servers, to where if people come into the game, they can experience the game the way it's meant to be experienced. I think that's a big part of the future of the game, or, a big increase in quality of life for a lot of players. Both PvP and PvE, this is another thing that they mentioned, are equally as important. And this was the man himself. Scott said this, the game director. So I know you guys are all, we're all kind of both PvP, PvE people. We like to do both equally. Maybe some of us more PvP than PvE. It's nice to hear finally that they continue to have focus and place emphasis on providing content for both PvP and PvE players. So Bordy, we'll start with Bordy. I know you're a big PvP guy. Did this bring any peace to you, or did you have any concerns that have been addressed through this statement?
Yeah, I mean, it did for sure, because whenever you start looking at the direction they're heading in, obviously they're wanting to cater to PvE players as well. So it gets a little bit scary whenever you go down that road thinking, well, you look at the core of New World, and the core of New World is PvP, because you have territory wars, you have the fight over all the territory. But then you look at these other MMOs and the success that they're having being primarily PvE, and we all know that the majority of MMO players are PvE players. That's just kind of a proven stat that's been passed around for a very long time. That's why a lot of these MMOs are very heavily PvE focused. A lot of people enjoy PvE, and a lot of people that enjoy PvP also enjoy PvE. But the same can't be said the other way around, right? Like, a lot of people that enjoy PvE don't enjoy PvP. So that makes PvE like the optimal thing to do. So whenever you're talking about just bringing in tons of numbers of people, the PvE in New World definitely needs some work right now, as we're going to talk about here in a second. There's some exciting things coming to the game, but along with those, they also talked about some other PvP elements that may be added to the game too. So I'm very happy to know that they are still working on PvP, because we left ESO for that very reason, Red, because we liked the PvP in there, but it became very apparent that they were very heavily PvE focused. They didn't really care much about player versus player, and that's really what we wanted to do. So it was nice to hear that for sure, and nice to know that they are still heading very much in the direction of wanting to do both equally. I liked it.
So interesting little side story I hear. I guess we have our audience captive, so we can say things like this. one of the things that came down to us moving to New World from ESO, me and Bordy, it was the Skyrim update or the update that was based around Skyrim. We said, if we don't hear anything about PvP in their big, like, it was like their big, reveal of this new content. We said, if we don't hear anything about PvP, we're going to transition to New World. And sure enough, that during that reveal, they said absolutely nothing about PvP. And we were like, okay, well, we need to move on.
It's time to go.
Yep. Yeah. And so that's exactly, it's great to hear that they have emphasis on both PvP and PvE. And I don't know if you guys feel the same way that I do. We'll start with Danny here. They were hinting at arenas during the
they absolutely
said small scale PvP. So Danny, what do you think, man, about this definitely being in the works now? I think we all thought it would be coming eventually, but it's nice to hear that now they're working on a small scale PvP activity in New World. What do you think, Danny?
It's a real difficult one for me. I am. I've spent probably 600 out of my 700 hours fighting for wars and throwing things into conflict, and I'm all about these big, large-scale battles. I was playing Siege Team the other day, and I turned off my UI, and I just saw this battlefield, and it was carnage. There was people fighting everywhere, and that's really, really what gets me excited about New World, and I love that part of it. And just briefly back to the PvP, it's not there yet. It's really not there for that big scale, but that's what really gets me excited. The small scale arenas, I would also love that. My entire build right now is built for being in the front line. People on my server recognize my name, and they just want to remove me from the game. So I have like a PvP Carnelian gem on when I'm in the wars, and people just want to destroy me. But I would love to practice PvPing in small scale, and I would love to see. I actually did a PvE arena the other day, and I realized that people can look in and see you fighting in the arena. Imagine if there was like these spaces where 1v1s to 5v5s, 1v1, 2v2, whatever is happening, and you've got this kind of not like a Coliseum, but something where people can view this, and
that would be dope.
Why not a Coliseum,
awesome.
Danny?
Well, let's have a Coliseum.
we have all the Roman stuff in there.
See that. Yeah, I would really love to see that. I was at the start, I was kind of like fully anti arenas and things, and I think if they could bring it in a way that kind of complements the open world too, I'd be happy with that. Obviously, you see a lot of issues. Well, in the early days, if there was a war in Everfall and there was loads of people in Everfall, you could feel the conflict, you could feel the lag happening more than if you were fighting in Morningdale, let's say, because there was less people there. But if they could find a way to make that work, dude, I think arenas would be epic, but it has to kind of have this open world feeling to it as well. So people can come and watch, or people can view into the I'd love to see it. Yeah, I would love to see it.
Interesting, Bordy. I know we've been asking for something like this for a long time. What do you think now that
we have been? It gets me really excited, man, because unlike Danny, I very much enjoy smaller scale PvP. I find it to be a little bit more competitive. I guess larger scale PvP is super competitive too. It's a little bit harder to coordinate, right? So I come from a background of playing basketball a lot, right? It's 5v5 on the court. You have your fringe out there playing. You're on the battlefield together. And I like the 5v5 smaller scale stuff. I guess maybe for that reason, I don't know, but I prefer it, man. I prefer it over large scale battles. It's so much more intimate. It's more fun to me. So I am incredibly excited to hear them finally almost confirm it. I almost say, yeah, this is coming into the game. We've heard speculation. We've known it was probably coming in for a very long time, but now to hear them actually start hinting at it, it gets me going, man. I'm super excited for it. And that's probably where, if that happens, that's probably where I'm going to spend most of my time. Outpost Rush is fun. I enjoy Outpost Rush, but I would like something a little bit more competitive where I can queue up with my team, go in there with my competitive team and have a good time, and only have to worry about getting 4 more friends or whatever, not having to put together a team of 20 people, because that can be pretty tough. Putting together a team of 20 people to go into an Outpost Rush, man, can be hard for a lot of people. Everybody doesn't have that option, you know what I mean? But most everybody can put together a team of 4 to 5 people and go in and compete and have a really fun time doing it. The only concern I have about adding arenas is, what does it take away from the other content, right? Like Danny alluded to tying that into open world somehow. Well, if you do add arenas, then how many people then are actually going to queue up for Outpost Rush? How many people then are even going to be concerned about wars and whatever? I still think wars would be okay because people can queue up for those once every now and then. It's like this old territory conflict thing. But I think Outpost Rush, because you queue up for it and it's just an instant thing, it might suffer some. So those are the only things I worry about a little bit. But I am incredibly excited. I hope they bring it in. I would live there probably. It would be so much fun, man. I'm super excited. I don't know when to expect that though. I would imagine it's not going to be anytime soon.
Well,
but man,
March at the earliest. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But dude, I agree. I hope there's some sort of ranking system. Our buddy Seth Fear, he was on the podcast, and we talked a lot about his background and everything. He's been looking forward to this too. I think a lot of people love the idea of a competitive PvP scene. That really does pull in a lot of people that can rank yourself against other players, which, we'll see how they handle it with the different servers, right? There's almost has to be a queue system across servers for Outpost Rush and Arena coming as well.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things that concerns me a little bit because, if you only have a small pool of players queuing into a game mode like this, or if there's a ranking system, but it's only on your server, it kind of takes away a little bit from it. But we'll see. We'll see how they implement it. I look forward to hearing more about that later. A quick note on this: there's no automatic bans on mass reports. I assume that means anymore. Reports are reviewed by actual humans, and decisions for bans are made accordingly. So, I mean, here's the thing. It was a meme for a little bit. Like, I think maybe like it happened to like one streamer or something. And then like now everybody thinks that this is the way that everybody gets banned. But obviously, I think most of us knew that this wasn't the case anymore. They're reviewing the bans. But now it's here official. So if anybody comes into your stream and says people get banned for nothing in this stupid game, then you can say you're an idiot. Go read the internet. Go read other because it's not true. And we love doing that on Twitch. Dungeon Mutations, a big thing that we all thought and knew were coming, is coming. It's coming in January. So next month. We always talked about the recycling of content that they already have in the game. They have all these expeditions, but they're all locked at 25, 35, etc. So now we are getting Dungeon Mutations, which reminds me of something that we've seen in another video game before, or a couple other ones, which it will basically mutate one of the, I guess, 6 expeditions that are in the game right now. It will have 10 levels of difficulty. You will be able to run this multiple times a day if you choose to. The key to get into a mutator will be universal. So it seems like you'll need this one key, and once you have that key, you'll be able to get whatever mutator or get into whatever mutated expedition that is on the docket for that week. Doing a high-level mutation will reward you with a new resources needed to upgrade specific weapons. This will be needed to complete the higher level mutations. So it makes you think maybe they're going to push past 600 on some of this gear. Or maybe there's like, maybe a weapon that you could, or maybe a set of weapons that you can only get in mutated expeditions, and that you will need material to upgrade them up to maybe a higher gear score. So first, let's digest this a little bit. Danny, what are your thoughts on the dungeon mutation system now that we know more about it?
Yeah, it's a hot topic, and a lot of people I speak to we're talking a lot about this, and I think the main reason we're talking about it is the gear score. There was that discussion in the video that when they want to increase gear score, it's going to be done for a reason. And then I think further on, or before that point in the video, there was the mention that to complete level 10 or complete the 10th mutator or whatever you want to call it, you had to you really needed to be above level, or your gear score needs to be above 600. Sorry, which I feel a lot of us feel that potentially if that's the way it is, and this is going to be coming in January, February time, excuse me. then maybe that's too soon to be implementing something like this. But in general, the dungeon mutators sounds awesome. You know, I haven't run Amarine for ages, and when you do, and you're helping a friend through, you speed run it. You just blast through it as quick as you can. So I think you know, it's recycling content that's actually kind of fun. So yeah, it'll be really good to see them kind of in action. I don't know how it's going to work. I hope it's not just a case of you know, taking a you know, slime from one mob and putting it on another mob, or adding more health. You know, I would love to see some real thought go into this, and potentially some new mechanics coming out for the bosses. And you know, if you don't dodge, or if you don't do this in the right time, then you get a team wipe, and you get really, really punished for it. And it's you know, it's good. I really hope that they bring out some really exciting mechanics. Obviously, the higher you go, the harder it's going to get, clearly. But yeah, I think it's great. I really think it's cool, and yeah, I'm excited to really see what they have in store. I really am excited.
So one of the things, Bordy, that's also interesting is they mentioned that you'll just need one key, and you'll be able to run them multiple times a day. This is one of our, I guess, one of the negatives about the current expedition system is you continually have to grind out the keys, which take probably infinitely more time than actually running the expedition itself. So now it seems like they listened to that a little bit, and they're going to give us a key that is universal. What do you think about this potentially being implemented in this new dungeon system?
I like it a lot. I think the new mutations are pretty cool. So the way that I understood it to be, and I was a little bit confused at first until we kind of got on here and talked about it a little bit before the show, but I think what's going to happen is they're going to have one dungeon. They're just going to pick a random dungeon every week, and then that's the dungeon that's going to be mutated for that week. So then you'll go up to like the war board or wherever. You'll sign up for the mutation. You'll get your 5 people. You'll queue up, and you'll go run the mutation. And I did like it because he said that this is something that you'll be able to run like multiple times a day. So it's going to give PvE players easy access to go do some sort of PvE activity more than one time a day, or be gated by the keys or whatever, which I think is nice. It's almost a little bit backwards to me, though. It seems like the vanilla dungeons you should be able to run a bunch, and then these you should get gated a little more. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. It just seems a little bit odd.
No, Bordy, don't put that out there, dude. We want the mutations to be free and fun.
Yeah, no. I'm on board. I like that. I like that you can do the mutations a whole lot. It just seems like, again, it's going to gate kind of the lower level players, you know, the level 25 players that might want to run Amarine a whole bunch to level up or to get some good stuff for their level or whatever. It's really pushing more in game, which they desperately need some new in-game stuff, which I think is great. I think the Gypsum system diversified the in-game up quite a bit too. I think these mutations will help do the same thing, but I don't know. I agree about the gear score thing, though. That does concern me slightly. I don't know that the game is quite ready for a gear score increase. I think a lot of people may be, but I think a lot of people are probably the 1% to 2% players of the game who have their gear score maxed out and they don't care. They're already investing in slot gear. Dude, I play the game a whole lot, and I'm not investing in slot anything yet because I haven't been pushing into that. I've been doing all kinds of other stuff within the game, and so I haven't pushed into best in slot. I probably could as much as I play, but everybody doesn't play near as much as I do, man. And then there are people that play much more than me that are already investing in slot gear. They have multiple sets for whatever. Well, I can't get there because I do things outside of the game too. These are people that play 16 hours a day. They'll be happy probably about the gear score increase. But I think the vast majority, the 80% of people, are probably going to be a little tilted whenever they see that, oh man, I just pushed into the 600 void band. I'm so freaking excited. And they didn't watch this dev blog because most casual players are not going to watch that thing, I don't think. So they're going to push into this void bent, be super excited, only to have gear score increase to 620 or whatever. The game's only been out for a short time. Like I think increasing the gear score now is almost a mistake, man. I that's the one part about it that I don't really like. And I'm speaking on behalf of maybe the entire population of the game, not the 1%ers, not the 2%ers. You got to take into consideration that there are people that can't play as much as you can. You know, just because you have made it to end game and you've burned through every bit of content, you need more. There is another 80% of people out there that aren't even close to touching you. So you gotta do it for the health of the game. I think the gear score thing is a little bit early. I really do think it's a little early. I think they might want to chill out on that. But overall, I think it's a fantastic system to give us reusable content for the dungeons, and I really am digging it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to give us a lot more stuff to do. We're going to have a good time doing it.
Well, first off, thank you for the daily dose of dad that you're good for almost every week.
Every podcast.
I agree with you. The thing about it is, what if they mean that like only the particular item, like not all gear will be able to move to 610 or whatever it is. Only these pieces of gear that you get out of these dungeons, and they're only really good for dungeon mutation grinding. Does that sound? Yeah,
that would probably be better, and maybe that's the case. We don't know the full picture yet. So
because it says new resources needed to upgrade a specific weapons. So maybe like this weapon is like has like whatever, like Lost Bane, 20% or 30% or something that we can't obtain anymore or whatever. So that's always a possibility. I guess I would agree with you to the extent that maybe it is a little bit early to increase the gear score, because I think that's typically reserved for big big releases. Like you would expect it maybe annually or something So maybe it's a little bit early. And games like Elder Scrolls Online, which I do not like, by the way, they never increase gear score, which I find that to be frustrating as a player. Of Elder Scrolls Online was I felt like, once you get to a certain point, you're just kind of, no matter if new content comes out or not, you're not really going to level up anymore or get any more powerful. So, it's kind of a nice balance. I do think it may be a touch early there. So hopefully they only mean on the gear, the items that you would receive from the mutations. And then those items are basically they wouldn't be best in slot in PvP. They'd only be like best in slot if you're trying to push your dungeon mutations. Which I could see happening potentially. So, last, or I guess not last, but the next big thing, and I thankfully they did say this, because I actually promised somebody on my stream that this would be the case. The Blunderbuss will be the next weapon added to the game. Guys. So here we go. This is a dope. Okay, so in first person shooters, which New World has a touch of, you have the musket and the bow. I am always a shotgun person. So here I go, dude. I get to go shotgun people in New World. Danny is a strength-based weapon, close combat ranged weapon that's supposed to complement other close range combat. What do you think, dude? The next weapon in the game will be the Blunderbuss.
I'm going to equip it with my sword shield, so when someone comes at me, being a tank, I'm just going to get away from me, man. I'm excited, dude. I'm excited. And, the fact that it's got some movement skills on there as well, I think he mentioned in the video is really cool. So I'm excited. I didn't know it was going to be the Blunderbuss. I haven't kind of kept up to date too much with what's coming out, but yeah, I'm when I heard that, I was like, yeah, let's go. So I'm mega happy. I don't have anything else to say. I'm happy, man. I just want to equip it with my sword shield and just go around and have a little bit of ranged, where I have never really used a ranged weapon in New World apart from just a bit of fun. I might equip a bow here and there, but not seriously. But I'm excited. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Bordy, but the Blunderbuss. Yeah, I know, a lot of people were hoping to see like Daggers or something. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But what do you think about the Blunderbuss being the next weapon in New World?
I'm super excited because I primarily play strength, although I've been dabbling in the bow spear a little bit here lately. It's not my main. It probably won't ever be my main. I have a lot of fun playing that type of play style, but my play style right there that suits exactly what I want to do in the game. I cannot wait for that weapon to come out, or at least I hope it's going to suit. I hope it's going to be similar to what I have on my mind and what we've kind of seen data mine, and I think it's going to be incredibly fun, man. I can see that being paired with a lot of different strength weapons. I can see people getting tilted at it already because I think it's going to be pretty strong.
Big
paired with like the great
attack,
axe or something like that. The great axe and a hammer. You just CC somebody to death and then you shoot them in the face with the Blunderbuss. I think people might get a little tilted at it at first, but I do think it's going to be fun, and I can't wait to use it, man. I was super excited to hear that that's going to be the next weapon coming into the game.
It's such a unique weapon for an MMO, I think. It's one of those things that not a lot of like other MMOs have guns at all, But now they're like implementing a shotgun, which is pretty. I mean, essentially, it's like
I kind of like that. I mean, it's
like
probably going to be I can see it kind of being like the equivalent, basically, of a shotgun.
Basically,
I don't think they
short
can,
ranged. Maybe drop off is pretty severe on the damage, or maybe the range is just small in general. But yeah, the Blunderbuss is coming in the game. The next weapon that appears to be added, or at least they only mentioned 3 weapons, so. They did use some verbiage that insinuates the order of them. The Great Axe is coming soon.
Great Sword.
Wait,
Sword.
Yeah. We don't want more Great Axes. Great Sword is coming to the game soon. Bordy, speaking of strength user, what do you think about now? There's going to be another close range weapon in the Great Sword.
Yeah, I wish they would have mixed it up a little bit. I would have liked to send the Blunderbuss, then maybe Daggers, and then the Great Sword, maybe, or something like that, or maybe a mage weapon in between to kind of appease everyone, because it sounds like the Great Sword is probably going to be, maybe the Great Sword will be something weird like Dex, who knows? But I would assume it's going to be a strength weapon. I listen, man, I don't use a lot of swords. I like using axes in the game. I'm drawn to them for whatever reason. I am in every game I play. I like axes, hatchets. The hatchet right now in New World is in a pretty poor spot, so I don't really use it very much, but I did use it a lot during the alpha. That's just what I'm drawn to. So the Great Sword doesn't really get me going as much as the Blunderbuss. I just like the idea of pairing like my Great Axe or hatchet if it ever comes back to being decent in the game. I like to think about pairing those two together. The Great Sword, to me, I don't know, man. The sword is so I don't know, so like not meta, but so I don't know, man. I just like the idea of axes over swords. So it's exciting, I guess, for a lot of people for the sword to come into the game. Me, not so much. I'll stick with my axes and be a happy boy.
Well, there's some weapon prejudice there, Bordy.
Yeah, a little bit, man.
Danny, do you like swords? I mean.
Hell yeah, of course.
What
I'm just visioning this big battlefield again, man.
Loser, man.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it. Whenever I think of like combat in New World, I think I mentioned before when the Ice Gauntlet came out and the Void Gauntlet come out, it didn't excite me. I saw the Life Staff and the Fire Staff as like a Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf the White, and that was it. There's just the odd mage here and there, and it's just there's a bit of magic, but then everyone else is fighting kind of hand-to-hand combat and bows and arrows and stuff. So I mean, the more that kind of that style of combat comes in, because when you're fighting these big battles, and I hope in the future the territory wars are even larger, so even more people can get involved, and it's just wherever you look, there's just pure chaos and hand-to-hand combat going off everywhere, and then there's the odd mage, and like I don't know, I love it. I'm excited for it. Both of these weapons are right up my street, and all I can hope for is that when they come out, there's been extensive testing on the PTR, which I spoke about earlier, and they're just delivered awesomely, and everyone gets to play them and fight against them with the current weapons, and it's just an awesome addition to the game. So yes, I cannot wait.
Have you guys maxed all your weapons yet? Is that something you're interested in doing or have done, or?
I've maxed all my mage weapons out. I am the apparently you both hate me. So the mages are. I'm a mage boy through and through, and I maxed out all the mage weapons and obviously the rapier, which complements them well.
Yeah.
So.
You have, Danny?
I got like 3 more to do. I kind of find myself in moments where I'll look at my map and I'll hate all the quests. I'll do some quests, and then I'll go do some portal trains. Then I'll go down to Dead Man's Cove and start doing my weapons. So I've got about 3 more weapons to do. Yeah. Nearly there.
I was just curious. I didn't know, since you're just a tanky boy, if you've maxed out all your weapons or not, or if that was something you were even interested in doing. Because some of the weapons I probably won't ever use, but I'm gonna max them all anyway. Yeah. Like
I'm the same.
I don't. Yeah, I'll probably never be a mage user. I'll probably do a build at some point just to do it, but it won't last long. It's just not my thing.
If anything goes like the bow for you, then I could imagine you'll stick to
dude, I'm doing better with the bow, okay? I'm getting better.
Stick to the melee weapon.
I'm getting better with the bow, man. Hey, man.
All right.
The bow's tricky.
Speaking of bow, that's going to have a new complementary weapon in the works far into the future, it seems like. It's Daggers. Now, This is an interesting terminology because maybe this also says that maybe the great sword isn't the next weapon that we're gonna get after Blunderbuss, because it says daggers are in the works, but other weapons are priority above them. So I don't know if they're speaking about Blunderbuss and greatsword. It'd be odd to refer to them in that manner right after mentioning them, but daggers seem to be a ways off. But at least these dagger lovers, which we know there are a ton of, they are going to get daggers eventually, so that should give them some peace. But what is your take on other weapons being priority above them? It's interesting. One of the things that's interesting to me a little bit, guys, is adding them one at a time. Obviously, the Void Gauntlets seem to be pretty well balanced. That's the first weapon they've actually tested on a PTR client and that nature. But what are your guys' thoughts there? Continue to add these weapons one at a time, or maybe we might get multiple at once. We haven't seen that before. But what do you guys think about the daggers being a ways off, but other weapons being added in the future one at a time?
I mean, I'm okay with the one at a time cadence, man. I think it gives them a little bit more time to balance things. And I think whenever you implement, just think if they implement like 4 weapons at a time, how crazy that could get. Maybe on down the road, whenever there's not a lot of other content to add, or whenever they have in-game kind of where it wants. Yeah, and that's all they're focusing on. Maybe is adding this big new patch that it's just a big weapon patch or something like that. And that's the only focus of it, maybe so. But I don't know how many more weapons I would want to see come in with one patch, with all the other stuff that usually comes in with a patch. I would much rather see them focus on adding one weapon at a time, getting those things balanced, getting the combat in a good spot, working out all the bugs, and then moving on to another weapon. And then over time, just having this mass arsenal of things you can use at your disposal and switch your builds as you want. But I'm okay with the one weapon a patch cadence type of thing.
Yeah, it makes sense with the current history, right? Every time we always laugh about it, and every time there's a patch, there's more bugs, and it's just the way it's been. So if they can work it out on the PTR first and then deliver it perfectly, then maybe 2 or 3 weapons at a time would be fine. But I think until that day, take your time, make sure it's great. I think the one thing that I liked from the video was they said something along the lines of there's a lot of weapons at the table that they're looking to bring into the game, and that's really exciting. Kind of looking 12 months down the line, who knows what kind of weapons we had. I know we've looked at data mining sites and stuff, and there's some pretty exciting ones coming out. That Daggers is exciting. At the same time, it kind of scares me. Like I would like that they. I know I annoyed a lot of people with this comment. Like, I hope it doesn't have invis on the daggers. Yeah. Everyone's like, "No, Dan, it needs invis. It needs invis." I'm like, "No," but I'm not a fan. So, but
I'm with you, 100%. Yeah,
yeah. So I'm hoping it kind of. I'm still for that kind of that relatively realistic side of the game where the combat feels like it maybe would have been in the past. You're watching some shows and you get the magic, but you also have this kind of big hand-to-hand combat style. And I think the invisibility on a dagger, for example, would kind of take that away and make it a bit more fantasy, which is fine to some extent. And again, I hated on the Ice Gauntlet when it came out, and now I don't mind it. It's okay, it's cool. So maybe I'm just overthinking it, but I think all of these weapons sound really cool, and I love that they brought up the discussion around using a shield with different weapons.
Other weapons, yeah.
But that's a really difficult thing to implement. But imagine being able to have a shield with your hatchet, or even a shield with your your spear, like dudes from 300. Just some really cool. Yeah, there's some really cool things that could come out. So yeah, I'm mega excited for the new weapons, and I guess the blunderbuss and the greatsword, if they do a good job implementing that, the future of new weapons will be super cool, like really, really cool. And there's so much they can do. I think the last thing, I guess, when we spoke at the start, Evan Scale, bringing out like an Adachi, or your samurai sword, for example, and these themed weapons for the different areas that you can only really get in these different zones could be super cool in the future. So yeah, let's see how well they do with the blunderbuss and see what happens. I'm excited though. Yeah,
for sure. Border, you can't use a spear. It's not an axe, by the way. Last time I
like
checked.
spears,
So
too. I can pair it with an axe, bro. You know?
That would be crazy.
That'd be cool.
So overall, I think, this is a massive step in the right direction for communication. I think obviously they didn't give us anything concrete other than I think that the mutation system would be in January, which I would expect concrete information to start to form about a month before it starts to come out, right? And so then hopefully we'll get in the PTR in like a week or so, and we'll get to see what mutations are all about. Hopefully be able to work out the bugs and everything, and then as we progress into next year, hopefully we'll get more of these. A better roadmap of what's to come, what to expect. A state of affairs, and I really did enjoy this video. And again, if you haven't watched it yet, we have a good summary BDLG put up over there on New World Fans. Go check that out. We'll put a link in the show notes if I remember, which I should. It's not like my memory sucks or anything. All right, Bordy. Let's. It's been good, Danny, Bordy. You guys have anything more to say about the information that was presented in the December update for the developers?
The only question I have is I do have one question I'd like to pose to you guys. That's what do you think about the frequency of the updates and how they're putting them out? Because we talked a little bit earlier about how we thought gear score, it may be a little too early to increase that. What about the rest of the updates, man? Because we've been getting a lot really, really quickly. That's one of the things they spoke on early on, was kind of like slowing down and going more quality over quantity that they've been doing, going a little bit more deeper into the systems versus just giving us a whole lot at once. And man, every month, like the game hasn't been out for very long at all, and the same cadence was kept up with during the alpha. It was just tons of stuff just coming into the game, a lot. And I mean, if you look at the December patch, man, it was a lot of stuff came into the game all at once. And I think January is not going to be any exception. Sounds like we're getting a new weapon. We're getting dungeon mutations. We're getting all this crazy stuff in January. They did say in February they're going to back off some and then start working on bug fixes and polishing and all that stuff, which I think is great. I think the game needs that. But what is your take on these big updates every month? Do you like that, or would you prefer like once every 3 months we get like a really big update and then like some sort of small things in between or something?
I love it. I love that they're keeping the pace up with new content. Now, this new content, for the most part, has been an improvement on the current state of the game. So I love that. New weapons, I think, are great. They don't, you just pick up the weapon and start leveling it. I think that's one of the strengths of New World is that's not a new class. I don't have to go create a character from level 1 to catch up with everybody. You can just literally pick up the weapon, whatever level you are, pick up the Void Gauntlet, and then start leveling it up. So if they stick in this neighborhood of things on a weekly cadence, I think or monthly, cadence, I think it's great. I think if you start to progress like the character progression system, where meaning you need to keep increasing the gear score, keep increasing the requirements for certain activities, making them more and more extreme, I think that could stack up way too quickly for a monthly cadence. So hopefully they back off and maybe do that every half year or every year. But overall, I think that it's important to have new content in the game on a regular basis to keep people that enjoy the game logging in and getting new experiences. Danny, what do you think about that?
Yeah, yeah. So I would love to see. I don't know if I can call myself a professional. Yeah, I've been playing this game a lot, but from my opinion, I would love to see a real focus on like the bug fixes and the balances, and that should happen, weekly, and then maybe once a month, or even every other month, that kind of new content to come out. And even if it's a small piece of content, a couple more quests or something like that, I think there needs to be better end game. And I've always said, in New World, you PvE to PvP at the moment. There isn't that end game PvE, and for me that's fine. But I think to keep the game going, it needs that kind of end game PvE. But it needs to be, in my opinion, thought out a bit more. I have so many things that I would love to see come to this game because I bloody love it. I think it's got such an awesome base to it, and I think I love the combat. I love the styling. I love pretty much everything about it. But a lot of the things are really frustrating for people that I've played with in much worse games than New World are just kind of fed up at this point with kind of the constant kind of issues on the patches. So just take your time, do the quality over that quantity. But I would love, every time a big patch comes out, something like this, what Greg's done, we all have spoken to Greg, we know him, we know that, I've read lots of posts about people thinking it's a PR stunt and it's all this sort of absolute rubbish, in my opinion. I think it took a lot of guts really to do a video like this. You're putting your faces in front of an audience that at this point don't really like you. There's a lot of people that don't like you. So I would love to see a big update come out with some good video and some good human contact. But then increase the quality. So there was a big discussion on the video. Just lastly, about the lore and the quests. I don't really understand the lore unless I really go out of my way to look at it. I would love to kind of, when we first logged in and you reached the top of that hill and you saw Eternum for the first time, it's like, oh man, this is awesome, woohoo! And you kind of had that cinematic, and it hasn't ever happened again. So as you progress through the story, I would love to see things like that happen. They've done a really good job of the voiceovers, but bringing in some kind of cool cinematics to help you advance with the story and understand really what's going on, I think would help people get a bit more invested in the game outside of just running around and hitting rocks and logging and fighting the random people. So I think, quality over quantity, but there still needs to be that, that communication. I think they've done a really good job of communication with the community and stuff. And, they've taken a lot of, a lot of comments on the chin, I think, and you can see we would joke. Scott looks like he's aged a lot from August last year, but they've done I think they've done a good job considering the amount of people looking at them, and with the whole Lord of the Rings fiasco and all that sort of stuff. I think it's awesome, and I cannot wait for the future. So keep going, keep doing what they're doing, and just quality, lots of quality over quantity, in my opinion. Sorry, one a bit for one then.
No worries. And I agree with this sentiment. It's like those people that are complaining about this and that or the other, they're going to complain no matter what they do, basically. And I hope that they don't get too discouraged through this process, because I couldn't imagine asking more out of the team other than just polishing, right? Take your time, polish what you're doing. Obviously, the idea of bringing new content out for their players is a good one. We want them to keep doing that, keep the game alive and fresh, keep pulling new things into Eternum. The polishing aspect of it, I think is a matter of keeping things up on the PTR longer, which they said they're going to do, and taking your time. Like, you don't have to put out a patch every week, maybe, or every month. Just maybe take a month off, work on polishing, and then next month bring us a decent size patch. Maybe like a 1.5 size patch that you do now, but you're taking more time to let it cook and more time to fix bugs and issues with it. I think is fine. Thank you guys for the discussion. I think overall this was a very positive experience having the December team update, and I look forward to more content like this from their team. So Bordy, let's hop right over here to the company of the week. All right, take it away with our first company, which is UGG, or Unified Gold Hoarder.
Yeah, so we have Unified Gold Hoarders. They're mercenary group PvP. I find this one to be pretty interesting. So the region in a West, they're on El Dorado server, and it says, attention all of you hardcore PvPers and hardcore PvP groups. We are UGH, and we are taking over Eternum. Yo, dude. Hey, they're out to do big things. Our company is structured around dedicated and aged MMO players that love to fight against the odds in battle. If you love the excitement of dominating large zergs, this is the place for you. If you like the prospect of obliterating odd vegan companies, I don't know what that means, this is the place for you.
Did they say vegan, or what did you say?
Vegan. VEGAN. That's what it says in there. Obliterating odd vegan companies. That's what it says. I don't know.
Man,
I don't know
first
if that's
swords and now
or...
vegan. Why are we?
Listen, man. I don't know.
This show's taking a turn. We got to stop this.
They're obliterating everybody. All right.
All right,
If you like the
Carnivores and
boy.
vegans. Then fine.
I don't think I should read this last part, man.
Well, if you read vegans, killing vegans, you probably should not read what you're about to read.
I don't think I'm going to read the last part, but basically the sentiment is if you like to get a little bit of an adrenaline rush, then this is the place to be. They understand that this concept of domination isn't for everyone, and that's why we've been picky and will continue to be picky about recruiting as we continue recruiting into the launch of New World. So if you are a hardcore PvPer, this is the place for you. If you are on the El Dorado server, this is the place for you. Go check them out. Unified Gold Hoarders, super hardcore PvP, and we'll make sure we post their links in the description below. The next one we have is EternalCrow. They're region EU. They're over there with you, Danny, on Takshasila server. I don't know how to pronounce that, but
correct, yeah.
Takshasila. There you go. That server says they are a marauder faction, and it says their goal is to dominate their server through PvE and PvP, or PvP and PvE. What did I say? Did I say that wrong? Anyway,
No.
you get the point.
Yeah.
They're wanting to dominate the server, just like the other company was too. So this is an EU hardcore company. So it says the requirements are 18 plus, friendly, mature, and not toxic. Active, it says you must play at least 10 hours a week on average. You have to be in voice chat. And it says they want you to be very social. They have a list of accomplishments here for you guys to read through, a list of their guild goals if you're interested in that. And it says they still love New World. They're in it for the long haul, and they're looking for members who are interested in playing it over the next few years and put many of thousands of hours into the game over the course of many years. So go check them out as well. They're another hardcore company stationed over there in EU. They're called EternalCrow, and we'll make sure we link all of their information below as well.
All right. Thank you to again, EternalCrow, for promoting your companies over at New World Fans, and all to our Patreon participators. We thank you guys so much for everything you do. Guys, it's been a great episode. Obviously, to all our audience and everyone out there that celebrates Christmas, Happy Christmas. Or wait, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays.
Happy New Year, Happy Christmas.
Yeah, well, no, Danny, don't
Merry
get ahead
Christmas,
of yourself, okay?
sorry.
New Year isn't gonna happen until our next episode, which will be episode 99 of the podcast. Will be next week.
That's crazy.
So yeah, we're trying to put together a good show for number 100. So we'll have hopefully more announcements then. But until then, guys, thanks for listening. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you on another episode of New World to Go.